I think when we lie on our deathbed, our entire lives will not flash before our very eyes. I think we will remember moments, special moments, proud moments, and moments when we showed our greatest qualities. Moments that will touch the soul of those who remember us and inspire them to do or give something amazing. The gift of changing someone's life. My name is Nick and I am not a writer, so this book will not read like a beautiful work of art. I am writing this short book to inspire you, the reader, to give more in life, to help others change their lives, which in turn will give you more than you can imagine in return. When we can give this gift to people, it will fill your very soul. I also want to teach you how simple it is to stay fit for life. Stay fit for your family, friends, work, and yourself. Getting fit for life is simple, and this change in you can happen at the speed of a thought. The reason we call it getting fit for life is that we in the fitness industry wish for the change to be for life. If you get fit for a holiday, then chances are you will get fitter than you have been previously, then return to your normal routines that gave you your pre-holiday physique. Getting fit for life means your weekly habits include fitness habits, and these habits will last a lifetime. I am an ex-Royal Marine and current fitness instructor. I have worked for a physiotherapy company as a rehab instructor, helping professional athletes get back to strength. I now train paying clients through my own gym. Last Chance Heroes Fitness Training is my current journey where I offer my time and experience for free to help people get into the military. This journey has come to me by chance over the years. My recent Last Chance hero is 30 and it is her final chance to get into the army. She has failed 2 fitness tests and is at the upper age limit for joining. She has 2 beautiful children and wants to join the military to be proud of herself and to give her children a role model to follow. Sarah wants her children to be proud of their mum, and I can't think of a more noble reason. Fate, destiny, or some other force seems to direct people to me who are in need. Maybe we are all in need, and I just tap into this part of people as a default setting. You will see later in the book why I can spot this in people. My goal is to inspire more trainers and professional people to pick up the gauntlet and do something soul-defining just because you can. There is only one of me, so I can only train so many clients in life. But there are thousands and thousands of fitness trainers, accountants, plumbers, drivers, lawyers, nurses, etc. that could help just one person who needs help, and the results would be amazing. Sarah got hold of me by sending me a text message and asked if I could help her with her military fitness tests. I do not advertise as being ex-military, so chance directed her in the right direction. I had a sense, and I still don't know why, that money was not in abundance with Sarah, and after meeting her I found out she had been made redundant. Her husband was still working and she had 2 young children aged 3 and 8. I agreed to train her for free, something I have done in the past for people wanting to join the military. I have trained a lot of paying clients over the years and thought it about time to help the underdog, the people with the will but not the resources. I trained Sarah for 1 hour a week at 6 a.m. She is committed. I would give her a fitness program to follow for her homework and then meet her the following week to take her for a slightly tougher, longer run than the previous week, which normally included the dreaded bleep test. During her training sessions, I would use my 20 years of experience to prepare her mind. Getting fit is fairly mechanical, but training the mind will take your body further than you ever thought possible. I know this because as a Marine, my final fitness test was a 30-mile run with weight across Dartmoor for 8 hours. Marine training is 8 months long, and every day is a shocker. Throughout training, I watched people's minds give up on them when the going got tough, and was fascinated with the reason why some people can achieve their goals and others can't. I have been fascinated with this subject for 20 years, and it is something I enjoy doing. Pulling the magic out of people's soul to make them perform better is something that top athletes pay thousands of pounds to top coaches. I watched a video of the Dalai Lama who was asked what he thought the meaning of life was. Now here is a man who has spent 80 plus years thinking about thinking through deep meditation. I figure if anyone knows what they are talking about, he probably does. His reply was simple: Fill your life and other people's lives with joy and happiness. This video of the Dalai Lama must have struck a chord in me. He spoke of how 7 billion or so people on the planet just need to learn to help each other more. Below is a quote that stuck in my mind for many years and is written by Oscar Wilde. Responsibility is what we expect from somebody else. I have always had a strong sense of right and wrong. I helped Sarah get into the military because it gave her a chance to gain her inner respect and confidence. Fitness is a skill set I have, and the military helped me become the person I am proud to be during a period of my life when I was willing to give up. I was given all the opportunities in life and wasted my education on messing around. And as my father once said to me, "You are a loser going nowhere fast." How's that for focusing the mind? On hindsight, it was probably the most helpful advice he could have given me. I was told by my parents to go to the job centre and find a job. Pretty depressing experience, really, when you are qualified for nothing. I did various jobs in supermarkets and offices filing their paperwork, and to be honest, I just wanted to curl up and die. What was the point of life? I felt lost. I saw an advert for the Marines in the job centre, and it got me thinking. I did some research on the military and decided I would go for it. I was at a point in life whereby I wished I would just stop breathing in my sleep and get the whole life thing over and done with. I vowed if life was so miserable in my current circumstance that not even a course like Royal Marines Commando training could touch the pain I was feeling at the time. It came remarkably close though. I would pass that course or die trying. In my mind, the only life worth living was one of adventure, not sitting in an office filling paper into cabinets. Who would have thought I would be now sitting in an office writing this book? My decision to complete Marine training or die trying did not come from any book or video I have watched, but from the depths of my being. At my worst moments in Marine training, when I could not even see straight as a result of sleep deprivation, food deprivation, physical exhaustion, and being freezing cold, I was able to use my must in life. My must was to pass, nothing more, nothing less. A determined soul is unstoppable. When you are committed in your soul, it almost makes you laugh at the challenge put in the way of you achieving your goal. Like a madman, I would make my soul scream out inside me, "Is this the most you can throw at me? Throw everything you have and I will still stand." The point of me telling you this is a simple lesson I learnt at the lowest point of my life without even realizing it. When you commit your soul to achieving something, it is done. It is done in your mind, it is done in your soul, and now all you need to do is actually the doing part of it. This is the magic that the world's very top athletes like Tiger Woods pay people thousands of pounds for, to pull from them when they have started to lose focus on their game. This is what I try to pull out of people when I help them, their magic. The reason why Sarah had failed her last 2 military fitness tests was not because she hadn't been out running, but because her mind was beaten before she even entered the race. We did a technique I was taught by a family friend before joining the military. He had been part of Army intelligence as a psychologist and didn't speak much about his work. His techniques are the same that the world's top coaches use to teach people today, finding people's magic. If you have a goal, you must not just want to get it, but need to get it. Your soul demands it, and you can feel it with every fibre of your being. You need to be able to call upon this magic to put you in a focused state at will, at the speed of a thought. For Sarah, this was a simple task. I asked her to visualize herself in full military training uniform, which she did. I asked her how she felt about the image she saw in her mind. She said she felt proud. She could see the image clearly. She felt confident, and ultimately that image was the woman she wanted to be. I then asked her to think how her young children would feel about that image Sarah had in her head. How proud do you think they would be of their amazing mum? There it was, the magic. Her eyes filled with emotion. She had her reason not only to pass the fitness tests, but to smash them, destroy them, make them look feeble in comparison to her will. When this will can be called upon at will, nothing can stop you from your goals. That training session, she showed the fitness levels required to pass a fitness test then and there. She had previously failed because she hadn't found the magic inside of her and learnt to focus it, direct it, and use it at will. My past and my present. I have done many things during my childhood that I am not proud of. I was the naughty kid at school, and although I always did things with a full heart, my focus always seemed to get me into trouble. I understand that childhood is a time for making mistakes, and we need to make mistakes to learn. Perhaps all of the things I did during my childhood, things I am less proud of, are the reason I try to do better today. I am quite a private person, and many of the things I write about in this book I have never told to anyone else. After the Marines, I joined the police. It was not a job suited to my personality, but a job I did to the best of my ability when I was serving. One night I was faced with a large man trying to break into a house with a crowbar. He was known to police and was a violent person. I called in the job to control and was told to wait for backup. I spoke to my sergeant on his personal line and said I was happy to stop this delightful person whilst backup was on their way. My boss was ex-military and gave me the go-ahead, so I did. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. I knew through common sense that the family inside this house was petrified. They had called the police. They were petrified of a crazy man trying to break into their house. In the middle of the night, on a dark street, there was only one person around to stop this man breaking into someone's house and making their worst fears a reality, and that one person was me. I talked to the man who, as I suspected, tried to embed the crowbar into my head. I am not a ninja, and fortunately he was intoxicated with drugs. So although he was amazingly strong, his reaction times were less than perfect. After I got hold of the crowbar, I was able to have a chat to this man, and I spoke to him like he was a human being. Through just talking to him like he was a person, I was able to calm him down. We spoke for a while whilst I waited for backup, and the job was done. These events came up on a regular basis in the police, and it gave me the ability to see how people in this world just want someone to take the time to talk to, understand them, and maybe help them. If ever you have watched Dog the Bounty Hunter, this larger-than-life man and his team catch wanted criminals for the police. But Dog's mission is not just to collect the money gained from catching criminals. Instead, Dog and his wife always spoke to the criminals like people and pleaded with them to turn their lives around for their friends, family, kids, and for themselves. Dog spent time before handing people over to the authorities, just talking to people, trying to pull their magic out of themselves. I think if the whole world was full of people like Dog, the world would be a better place. We all have the ability to be our own dog. If ever you watch Dog the Bounty Hunter as much as I have, then you will understand that Dog, his wife, and their team do not do the job for the recognition, but for themselves. The gift of giving. Why I do it. This is a gift I can pass on to people, and they will take it with them for the rest of their lives. Sarah will serve in the military because of her amazing abilities and a little bit of help from me. Just 1 hour a week from me for 6 weeks, and text messages for updates, and I can help her change her life forever. What an amazing gift to give to someone. I will remember Sarah for the rest of my life, and I am fairly confident she will remember me. I do this because Sarah is amazing. I knew this before I met her. She is, after all, a mum, and mums are amongst the most amazing people we can ever have in our lives. My wife, the amazing mum she is, never stops doing, thinking, organising, and preparing for our little monsters. God bless all of you mums out there. We live in such a detached society that doesn't give value to full-time mums. Instead, society mainly gives value to full-time workers. My father was always praised for his efforts and promotions at work by friends and family, but my mother was very rarely recognised. My dad stopped work at 5:30 p.m. each day, and my mum stopped working about the time she finally managed to fight to get me and my older brother into bed. I also have a sister, but she was much better behaved than me and my brother. I have 2 young children and could not comprehend looking after 3 like my mother did. I love my kids with all my heart, and they are the greatest gift I will ever have in life. But my Lord, they do drain one's resolve from time to time. At the time of writing, my wife is trying to get the kids into bed, and I can hear them running around the house still full of energy. I do make generalizations in this book to try and get my message across. I am aware that there are stay-at-home dads, etc. I am the main daycarer for my kids, as my wife works full-time. I train my clients in the morning when the kids are at school and evenings. I love seeing my kids grow up. My wife, being the amazing mum she is, finishes work and immediately becomes mum. I don't know where she finds the energy. I can honestly say that after having kids, I have never looked so forward to getting into bed at night. I must be getting old. My mum had to put up with everything from me and my older brother. One particular occasion, she had a rare night off and organised a babysitter for us so that she could go out for dinner with my dad. At bedtime, we knew the babysitter would tell us to go to our rooms, so we got some tennis rackets, stuck some large sheets of paper onto them, which read, "We don't want to go to bed." As bedtime came and we were asked to go to bed by the babysitter, we got out our banners and staged a protest, chanting, "We don't want to go to bed, hell no, we won't go, we don't want to go to bed." So that was another babysitter my mum could not use again. Getting fit for life. As promised in my less than perfect introduction, I will tell you how to get fit for life. It annoys me that there are thousands of fitness books on the market filled with the same stuff in them. When you've been doing fitness for 20 plus years, I can assure you that most fitness books just rehash fitness with a different spin on it. The problem with most fitness books is they never tell you how to mentally prepare. This is the key ingredient. It's like baking a cake without having a heat source. Don't get me wrong, they all add variety, and if they help motivate you, then great. But the only way you will make lasting change in your fitness goals is to make it a must and not a want. Sarah could not pass her military fitness tests because her mind was not focused. She wanted to pass. I repeat, she wanted to pass. When we got her to focus on her reason, the image in her mind of who she wanted to become, how her children would visualize their mum standing in full military uniform, we had now attached a strong enough emotion to her fitness goals. You could see the emotion in her eyes when I asked her how her kids would think about their amazing mum standing in full military uniform. It now became a must for Sarah that she could see in her mind. That very day she demonstrated the fitness levels required to pass the military fitness tests, after her mind made her goal a must. This image and emotion you create to focus your efforts will fade at times, and it is up to you to train your mind to refocus. Like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. For Sarah, we did the bleep test the first day I trained her. The bleep test is also known as the pacer test or the 20-meter shuttle run test. It is used to test an athlete's aerobic capacity. The test requires participants to run 20 meters back and forth across a marked track, keeping time with the beeps. Sarah was running with the bleeps beside me and started falling behind the pace, almost ready to give up. I reminded her, may have shouted at her, keep pace, think of your kids, your goals, and focus on your breathing. And sure enough, she picked up the pace to match mine for another 5 shuttle runs. This proves that just a simple thought was able to not only allow Sarah to keep pace for another 5 shuttle runs, but to make up the time she was behind on the previous 4 shuttle runs. The thought of her kids and her must was enough motivation to drive her through her pain barrier at an even faster pace than she previously was running. If you have an image of your future self, one that is visually and emotionally so powerful that you can almost taste it, then you have the magic recipe for success in fitness. We all know people who are in incredible shape all year round. They are that way because fitness is a must for them and has become part of the routine. Just like many people have their coffee in the morning without even really thinking about it, fitness enthusiasts put their trainers on without really thinking about it. They have conditioned themselves. Their fitness is just part of their life, now just like having a coffee. We all have our own routines and we don't often stray from these habits. Coffee in the morning, glass of wine with dinner, biting your nails, etc. These are all habits. Make fitness a routine, a habit, a must. It's that simple. Discipline will only last so long, but a must will last a lifetime. I heard one trainer describe this much better than I can. Discipline will pull you through the day, but eventually you will tire of pulling yourself. A must will drive you for your day and wake you up before the alarm clock rings. A must will drive you forward for a lifetime. One of the first bosses I had in the Marines after I completed training was a young Lance Corporal called Mark, who in my mind was like a movie star. He had the presence about him that would command respect from everyone, including the highest authority figures on camp. It was fascinating. I worked, lived, ate and slept with my fellow Marines for years, and we knew each other like brothers, whether we liked each other or not. I often wondered why Mark commanded so much respect from a young age, and only realised later on in life how he did it. It was his must in life. He was the fittest in a troop of 60, and one of the fittest in the entire commando unit. We would all do exercise as part of the job during the day, and then lift weights in the evening. Mark would take himself out for brutal runs in the evening, even after we had been on brutal runs during the day. I would see him go out running or see him in the gym on the treadmill, going at a pace I couldn't maintain for more than a minute or so, and I was a very fit young Marine. Mark's standards for himself were high, and he demanded higher fitness levels for himself than the rest of us did for ourselves. His standards did not just focus on all things military. He was a master of everything he did, and annoyingly a master of attracting women when we were out in town. He would sit at the bar looking like a movie star with the physique, the dress style, the looks and the confidence. He would be sitting just having a chat with one of his mates, and women would constantly go up to him to chat, something he was not interested in as he had a girlfriend who later became his wife. Mark was also a really nice person. If I could choose anyone to aspire to in terms of leadership, it would be Mark. His young age did not get in his way of commanding respect from people much older or experienced than him. If there was a Marine you wanted at your side during times of war, then Mark would certainly be that person. Mark was tragically killed in Afghanistan and is the epitome of what a Royal Marine aspires to be. He left behind a wife and a family that will miss him for life. A truly exceptional human being. Do whatever it takes attitude. When people make things a must, some people will push that thought process to the extremes, and Paul was no different. I went through Marine training with Paul, and he became one of my best friends. Before Paul joined the Marines, he had a car accident and broke his leg. Metal screws had to be put into his injured leg, and his future in the Marines looked bleak. But the world did not know Paul. Paul recovered from his injuries and applied to join the Marines. He was told at the medical stage of the application process that he could not join with metal in his leg. So Paul, being Paul, asked a doctor to take the metal screws out of his leg. The doctor told Paul that if they did the operation to remove the screws, there would be a 50% chance of him walking with a limp for the rest of his life. Paul booked himself in for the operation and recovered well afterwards. He successfully joined the Marines and was one of the strongest Marines I had ever met. On my final test week of Royal Marines Commando training, we did the 9-mile speed march, and we did this together. I knew this would be the worst of all of my tests we had to do due to the relentless pace. As I was struggling towards the end of the run, I could hardly feel my body and my vision was going. Like the legend that Paul was, I could feel a hand pushing me forward, keeping me at pace with the rest of the troop. He muttered some encouraging but fairly rude words into my ear, and that was enough motivation for me to keep going through to completion. Paul showed me the power of a must. No car accident, metal pin, or surgery was going to stop him from becoming a Marine. He had dreamed about being a Marine his entire childhood. His dad had been a Marine and his mum had been in the Navy. Paul was tragically killed in Iraq whilst on duty and will be in the hearts of everyone who knew him. He was only 21 years old. He was and is the epitome of what a Royal Marine aspires to be. I wish nothing but the best for his family. I have the ability, the knowledge and experience to teach people how to get fit, not just for the military but fit for life. In the future, I would like to give more time to people who don't have the financial resources and help them find their magic. Help them become a fitter mum or dad, a fitter accountant who can bring his or hers newfound energy to the workplace and infect other people with their energy. What is your must in life? If it's fitness, then do it. Don't just try to do it. Look at your skill set and ask, what gift could you give someone for an hour over a coffee? Sarah will not only be a superhero in her children's minds, but will also be the confident, proud, amazing mum/soldier that she aspires to be. And because I could be part of her new journey, I will go wherever she goes in her thoughts. And maybe one day she will teach her children how a person called Nick gave his time to help her when she needed it, not for money, but simply because he could. That to me is worth more than all the money in the world. I often think that just spotting someone at their moment of need is enough to make a profound impact on their lives. As we rush around with our busy lives, we rarely get the chance to see, really, people as people. As a Marine, I served in Afghanistan, and one of my bosses would take time out to see how I was doing. Not how my work was going or did anything need doing, instead just wanted to know how I was. His kindness will stay with me for a lifetime. This particular boss was an army guy attached to the Marines. Boys being boys, there was always rude banter between the army and Marines, but in a light-hearted manner. My boss, however, was admired by all the Marines around, regardless of the fact he was not one. Why? Because he had incredibly high standards for himself, and one of those standards was to make sure everyone was okay on a personal level. He took time when not many people did to make sure you were okay. In Afghanistan, someone like this is invaluable. As chance would have it, my army boss, who was a smoker, got stuck in some undesirable location and was running low on cigarettes. In Afghanistan, one of the most valuable resources is the transport helicopters. There is never enough of them, and they are always needed. These are what gets everyone around safely. Word spread that he was running low on cigarettes, so a helicopter was arranged to drop off supplies and drop off 30 packs of cigarettes to my boss. He was a very good army technician, the best on camp, and we needed him on top form. But more importantly, because of the caring person he was, everyone moved heaven and earth to raise money for a cigarette fund and the transport to get them to him. Very few people in life seem to go out of their way for others. I will always be thankful for my boss and his caring heart. I don't think he will ever realize how much I appreciated his time. The reason why I enjoy helping people like Sarah to realize their fitness potential and reach their goals is because people like Sarah have a dream in their soul. All I have to do is a few tweaks to their training and mindset, and someone's life is changed for the better. Whatever job you are doing as the reader, I am sure there are people out there who wish to do the same job as their dream job. Help them, and you will feel the magic of giving. I have enjoyed taking all of my personal training clients over the years, and if I didn't get on with someone, then I wouldn't train them. This has only happened once in all my years. I have heard the top wealth gurus talk about how the rich can measure their success. It is hard for the rich when following a wealth program to measure their success in terms of how much they give back, how many jobs they provide, etc. But one way they can measure their success is to see how much their net worth is at any given time. The same applies to fitness training. It is possible to measure the benefits that fitness brings to the mind, how fitness can increase someone's energy to do better at work, do better in their relationships, have more energy to be a better parent, more energy for friendship, a stronger self-confidence because they feel great about themselves. But one way we can measure the exact benefit is with weight loss, strength gains, etc. These can be measured in exact kilos or pound measurements. One of my clients who I'm very proud of is Sean. Sean decided his goal was to lose 10 kilos. Nothing more, nothing less. I also train Sean's wife, Mandy, and they are two of the nicest people I have ever met on this planet. Sean is a mechanic and helps family and friends fix their cars for discount prices. Sean and Mandy are always willing to do more for people than most. Sean started training with me many years ago, and little by little he reached his goal of 10 kilo weight loss. 10 kilo was his must. He now constantly fluctuates around that 10 kilo mark, training weekly. It's fascinating that his mind told him 10 kilos, and for years he has maintained that weight loss. He could have set his heart on 12 kilos or 14 kilos and achieved it, but his magic number was 10. People really can achieve what their soul desires. The must in life, not a want. Sean had mentally agreed with his soul that he would be fit for life. The change 10 kilo has made to Sean and his whole personality is amazing. And these are some of the reasons that I love fitness training. It allows me to be part of someone changing their life. Pretty cool. I include this short description of Sean to demonstrate that you, the reader, may have the skills to help someone like Sean achieve something important, something that will help to change a person's life. My advice on getting into fitness. The first few training sessions might feel uncomfortable/foreign, and you will still be stiff the following day. The stiffness is short-lived, and after a few training sessions will go away and be replaced with an enjoyable feeling. Keep training as part of your routine and you will start to feel amazing. I thought it important to include my advice on how to start your fitness journey, and I use the word journey deliberately. Fitness is not an instant fix. It is a way of life, a journey, and throughout your fitness journey you will discover more about yourself and your spirit than you could ever imagine. I personally run because it allows me to leave my problems on the road. This is regularly documented feeling, whereby when you start a run with a mind full of problems, by the end of the run, you will no longer feel stressed by the problem itself. Your body will have flooded with endorphins and other beneficial naturally produced chemicals during your run that allow you to mentally deal with the problem then and there. In over 20 years of running, I have never completed a single run feeling stressed, but the opposite. I feel fantastic. A meme that used to go around read the following: I regretted doing that gym workout, said no one ever. My first part of advice to people getting into fitness is always check with your doctor first that you are fit and healthy and able to train. Most people never do this, but I have to state it. Then if you can afford a personal trainer to break you into fitness, then use one. You can book a personal trainer for 10 seconds to get you comfortable with fitness training, then train yourself. If you find a good personal trainer, they will be able to teach you some of the fundamental principles that most fitness enthusiasts never pick up. I train Mark, a 67-year-old who is one of the fittest clients I have trained, and I have been training him for 8 years. He started training with me as a very fit person already, and had been training since he was 15 years old as a rugby player. But even with 50 plus years of fitness training, he was still making the typical mistakes people make. Personal trainers are personal trainers because they have passed the required courses and learnt the principles needed to effectively train. That being said, not all trainers are made equal, just like in any specialisation. Mark started training with me after his daughter purchased both her presents a Christmas present, which was me. Mark's daughter is a successful physiotherapist and phoned me up to book 10 sessions for each of her parents for Christmas. I don't think I have ever been quizzed as much about my qualifications from anyone else in my life. And for the reader's benefit, my qualifications are ex-Royal Marines Commando, British military fitness instructor, rehab specialist at a sports-specific physiotherapy clinic, independent boot camp instructor, and a personal trainer. Mark is a perfect example of someone's must in life. He has never stopped exercising in over 50 years, and he enjoys high energy levels and a passion for life. Another benefit to using a personal trainer is that they can look at you as an individual and work out what works for you and what doesn't. For example, if you had any broken bones as a child and are now an adult starting fitness, the broken areas will often show up as weak areas when you get into training. This could have happened 20 years ago, but the body will remember. A trainer can work around the niggles and pains, determine what exercises are causing problems for you and why, then strengthen the areas that need to be strengthened. For example, if you get a bad back after exercise, then chances are you need to train your stomach muscles more as well as your back, because the two muscle groups assist one another. And perhaps some of the supporting muscle groups are tight. When people squat or lunge, they often have an inward kick of the knee, which shows an imbalance in the muscles surrounding the knee. This may not seem like a problem at the time, but if that same person starts running and puts an imbalanced knee through thousands of repetitions pounding the roads, then that person will almost certainly start to pick up injuries. And this is the important part. If you pick up injuries, they will slow down your fitness journey and often put people off training. In my humble opinion, a personal trainer is worth the initial investment if you can afford one. Some food for thought. People spend a lifetime working hard at work and neglect their bodies whilst making their money. Then, as they get older, they spend that hard-earned money fixing their health. Let's not make this mistake of neglecting our health. Cutting-edge studies are showing more and more that a healthy body does in fact promote a healthy mind, and a healthy mind will allow for greater success in life when reaching your goals. An investment in a personal trainer could help you achieve greater financial success in life, making the trainer a good investment. If money is an issue, join a small group fitness class. If the class is small, the instructor will be able to keep an eye on you and keep you on the right track. Find a group class instructor who is also a personal trainer. The reason for this is because in the strange world of fitness in England, you only need a level 2 fitness instructor qualification to take group classes, and you need a level 3 fitness qualification, which is much more in depth, to train one-on-one personal training clients. If your group class instructor is also a personal trainer, they will be able to bring more knowledge to your training. If group classes are not your thing, you could simply put on your trainers and go for a gentle jog, building up your speed and distance over time. My final thoughts on training is this. If you want to learn how to perform fitness safely and effectively, then learn from people who specialize in this field. You will get much quicker results, and those results will help to motivate you on your journey. There are many great trainers on the internet who put out fitness videos for free. These are a fantastic resource, but will never be able to adapt to the needs of you as an individual. Only working with an instructor in person can give you this personalized touch. The one thing you can do yourself safely is to work on your psychology and find your reasons for making fitness a must in your life. If you can raise your standards, to make fitness a must in your life, then what other habits could you make in your life to raise your standards even further? These are many of the things I'm still finding out from my fitness journey and will continue for a lifetime. Make a mental picture of the fitter, stronger version of yourself and ask yourself what that version of yourself could achieve. Would that person be more confident at work? Would that person be able to raise their standards and achieve greater success? Would they have more energy for their relationships, more energy to create magic moments with their children, more energy to strengthen friendships, more energy to make days out with the family more enjoyable, more energy to make every encounter they have with people more profound? That person we are talking about lies in each and every one of us. A fitter, stronger you really will create more energy in life for greatness. What is it all about? Our life is all about moments, and so often in life, people appear so beaten down by the hamster wheel we call our lives that they don't have the energy for the things in life that really matter. In my mind, there is nothing that breaks my heart more than a parent who does not have enough energy or time to play with their children. A parent who lacks the sparkle of life that children are so good at spotting and enjoy playing in. I take pride in being able to outplay my young kids. Today we were playing paper aeroplanes, and they wanted to keep making more to see who could throw them the furthest. I know, as we all do, that our memories of our parents are magnified through our inner child's mind eye, and we remember vividly the fun times we had with them. I try to create as many of these moments as possible for my kids. If my kids want to throw aeroplanes, I will then come up with ideas to make the game better. Let's throw them out of windows. When they tire of that, let's go outside and try to build a plane that will catch the air thermals and fly high in the sky for ages. I can keep going until my kids tire and go back into the house to watch TV. Why? Because I have the energy to outplay them. And because I'm a big kid, I may end up playing aeroplanes by myself. When I came up with the idea for this book, I wrote a draft copy and sent it to my childhood friend, who I met on the school bus at the age of 10. All I said to her through a text message was that I had sent her something in an email. Her reply was, "What dodginess are you going to send me?" She will always remember me as a naughty little schoolboy. If you are listening to this book now, it will be because my friend on the bus, Katie, helped me to get this out there. Katie has a unique must in life that is very applicable to this book. If ever a person needs help or advice, she is always willing to give her time and counsel. I doubt she will ever realize how many lives she has helped to shape in her life, just by being there for someone when they needed help. If the world was full of Katies, the world would be a much better place. Katie and her parents helped me when I was 16 years old, and her parents became my legal guardian for a year so that I could finish my school education whilst my parents were in another country committed through work. Katie and her parents helped someone in need simply because they could, and their kindness will be in my heart forever. This kindness is magnified through my adult eyes, because they didn't just help a 16-year-old boy at a time of desperation in his life, but they helped a well-intentioned but mischievous boy who would never make their lives very easy. Not many people would take on that challenge. When I am fully into fitness, it feeds my mind, and when I take a week off from fitness, I start to feel sluggish. After a recent workout, I felt re-energized as I always do, and motivated for life. So I decided to take the kids out at dusk to spot the rabbits coming out of the bushes. It was past their bedtime, but making special moments in life does not have a curfew, though my wife disagrees with this point. The kids excitedly packed up blankets, torches, and binoculars, and we went out marine style and hid in the long grass downwind, waiting for the rabbits. My youngest, who is 4, got cold, so she lay on my back and used me as a warm surface while she looked through the binoculars at the rabbits hopping around. I could feel her little breath on my neck as she excitedly whispered what she was seeing. My other daughter had packed as many items that she could find that would fit in her bag. It was a great night and one I will remember forever. Special moments in life do not come around by chance very often. So it is up to all of us to try and make as many of these moments as possible. These magic moments, filled with the energy that only a fit and strong body can provide, are not only reserved for children, but can be given to our closest friends and family. I love fitness because I have seen the rewards it brings to so many people, their well-being in terms of energy and spirit. People are amazing. One of my most remarkable clients is a man called Julian, who has a calling in life to help people. Julian's calling in life is to help people who struggle to help themselves, and he currently works for a charity helping to get homeless people off the streets. This is Julian's full-time job, and he does get paid to do it, but he could get paid so much more to work for a private company. When Julian talks about his work, you can see the passion and enthusiasm in his eyes. He truly gets the gift of helping people, and it shows in his gentle character. I train many wealthy clients and can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that Julian is one of the wealthiest people I will ever meet. His wealth comes from his inner knowledge that he helps people and makes the world a better place. It is hard to describe what I see when I talk to Julian. He has an inner peace within himself that comes from his work. He still has the stresses of deadlines and raising funds for the charity, but through his sometimes stressed and tired eyes, you can see a soul fulfilled. I have often thought over the years whilst training Julian that if you could express the inner peace a person gets from giving to people, that society would quickly realise this is the true wealth this world has to offer. All of my experiences in life have led me to give just some of my time to people, and it allows me to experience for moments what Julian feels in his heart every day. His job is very cool because instead of just providing resources for homeless people, his charity has trained psychologists to help understand what it is that brought these people to their current situation in life. His charity understands fully that if you can tap into the psychology of a person, then you can start to help them rebuild their lives. What is the point? The lessons of fitness training can be passed on to most aspects of life. Research shows that over 70% of people don't do a job that fulfills them, and they just do the job for money. On your fitness journey, you will discover something that seems so hard, i.e. getting fit, was not that hard at all, and is in fact one of the most fulfilling self-love things you can do for yourself, and an enjoyable experience. If you can become greater than you are right now, then you can help people more than you can right now. If you look after yourself, you will be able to look after other people better. You will also discover on your fitness journey that you can push yourself further and further, well past your initial perceived limits. Transfer this knowledge of oneself over to your working life, and it may help you to realize that you can achieve greater things if you put your heart and soul into them. When Sarah put her heart and soul into her fitness training for the army, she was able to visualize her must in life and was able to raise her personal standards at the speed of a thought. No military fitness test would stand between her future self and the person she wanted to be for herself and her children. A will like Sarah's becomes unstoppable. People often mock this do or die attitude as unrealistic because they have never experienced it themselves. I have, and can promise you when you find this feeling, it is a true gift, and one that most people will never experience. The "I will do this or die trying" attitude is a powerful force, and my good friends in the Marines put this to the test. On his 30-mile run, he became so dehydrated and collapsed not far from the end. He was placed in a stream to cool his body down before the medics could treat him. He was given a 50% chance of survival. His blood had turned to soup, as one of the medics described it, and although they were trying to get fluids into his body through a drip, his blood might have been too thick to keep his heart beating. He survived, and after some rest, back on camp, completed his 30-mile run. His desire to complete training was so strong and unstoppable that he almost ran himself to death to achieve his goal. Not bad for a 17-year-old. If you are unhappy at work and are ready for a fulfilling career change, prepare your mind and create an unstoppable vision of your must in life. Then raise your standard to achieve that goal, because nothing will stop you from achieving it. Need to go to night school for more education? Do it. Need more hours in the day initially? Sleep less. Need to run 30 miles or die trying? Go for it. Cutting-edge psychology is showing more and more that if a person decides a goal is a must, and they feel it with every fibre of their being, that the brain will start to work out ways to get the thing you want, almost like the brain has been reprogrammed. Sarah wanted to pass a military test she thought impossible, and with an unstoppable passion, she achieved it. My client Sean wanted to lose exactly 10 kilos, and did just that. He never got to 11-kilo weight loss because he never demanded it of his soul. And my friend was able to pass his 30-mile run with weight, even after death itself tried to get in his way. I feel truly blessed to have witnessed firsthand people pushing their limits on a daily basis. People running on a broken leg because a broken leg would not stop them. Don't believe me? Research Mark Luttrell, the Navy SEAL who was part of the 4-man patrol team who got compromised in Afghanistan. His true story is featured in the movie Lone Survivor, starring Mark Wahlberg. During Mark Luttrell's Navy SEAL training, he was starting to slow down on one of his runs, and they sent him to the medical centre to get checked out. He had been running on 13 stress fractures in his legs, but his desire to complete training meant he kept placing one painful leg in front of the other to achieve his goal. Still want further evidence of the desire to achieve with an unstoppable force in your heart? Watch the David Haye fight against Tony Bellew. David Haye ruptures his Achilles and still kept fighting round after round. It was emotional to watch someone defying their injuries in the pursuit of their dreams. And his opponent broke his hand in the same fight and fought on to victory. Both were described as showing the heart of champions, and quite rightly so. This is the must-have, the burning desire I speak of. My thought process has always been the same throughout my life. We only get one life, so make it count. Don't live with regret for the things you wanted to do, but never had the courage to go and get. Get your vision. Feed it the strongest emotions you have. Reinforce this vision every day and get the life you want. A ton of regret weighs far more than an ounce of discipline. We are all affected by the people we surround ourselves with, and they influence us in more ways than they probably should. There is a reason why people in the Marines can achieve high standards, and this is because they are surrounded by an environment of high standards. We bring our standards up to the level of those around us. This is not my opinion, but factually based and backed up by study after study. Jim Rohn, a world-renowned mentor, is famously quoted for saying, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time around." Going deeper into the psychology of this subject, there is a simple reason why we do this. We don't want to be rejected by our social group, so we keep the confines of what is deemed as normal. If you become financially wealthier than your peer group, then your social group may turn their back on you. And this fear plays havoc with people who are trying to improve themselves. Their brains are trying to work out how to become more successful, whilst at the same time their subconscious is trying to sabotage their goals of success to stay within the safe limits of the group. I do not pretend to understand this concept on a deep psychological level, but trust that those that specialize in the field. My only advice on this subject is to make sure you spend your time with people who inspire you, encourage you, and are supportive of your goals. We live in an unfortunate psychological world whereby even our closest friends and family can bring your dream crashing down to reality. Your mind is your personal estate and must be protected from intruders. The dreamers shall inherit the earth. Top gurus often talk about the power of the dreamer. The dreamers helped put a person on the moon. The dreamers helped make planes fly. The dreamers theorized about galaxies the eye could not see until technology caught up with their vision. Jeff Bezos did not just create Amazon by luck. Richard Branson did not create his empire without a dream to do so. Your goals start with a thought, then a belief, and it is up to you to make that belief a reality. Before 1954, people thought running the 4-minute mile was impossible. Roger Bannister did not, and achieved his goal. Shortly after he did this, many more athletes completed the 4-minute mile. How did so many other people quickly follow in his footsteps? Simple. They knew it was now possible to run a 4-minute mile. One of my favourite examples of people dreaming big is Michael Phelps, Olympic gold medalist swimmer. He has won more swimming gold medals at the Olympics than any other person in the world. He started a training program that was more intense than any other swimmer at the time. People said he was crazy and that his body would not tolerate such a brutal regime. But they did not know Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian of all time. He dreamed big and did not listen to the rest of the world. Instead, he listened to himself. He demanded more of himself and his training regime than the world thought was possible. Only you know what you can achieve, no one else. If you have people around you that bring you down all the time, then try and spend less time with them. Or alternatively, lead by example and be an inspiration to them. Embracing failure. The greatest lessons we can learn are from our mistakes and failures, so embrace them and learn from them. My greatest failure came when I first tried to get into the Marines. I passed my 3-day selection protest, that test an applicant's suitability for Marine training. I passed by the skin of my teeth, and remember vividly how on the road run I struggled to keep pace from the start. 3 miles later, I had gone through all sorts of soul-searching, reaching as deep down as I possibly could. Shortly after the selection process, I started 30 weeks of Marine training. The training is even longer nowadays. I felt like I was living in an alien world, where all the Marine instructors around me were the gods. The instructors did all the runs with us and made them look easy. By week 10, I was out of my depth and struggling badly. I decided to quit, and I did. I felt then and there I was defeated, and the challenge before me was far too great. I left the Marines, and my soul was deflated. I was once again lost in life, and did not know where to look. So like any person who was unsure of their future, I decided to enroll in a university course that I wasn't even really interested in. University was okay, but my dream of becoming a Marine never went away. Instead of going to lectures, I trained hard on my fitness, and my determination to complete the impossible task of Marine training became an obsession. It became my must in life. I scraped through the first year of university, focusing mainly on my fitness, and started year 2 of university. I also reapplied to the Marines. One of the rules of the Marines was that if you rejoined, you were not allowed to leave. I have never worked out how they would implement such an idea, but I said okay. I was given my date for the 3-day selection process and was not even concerned about passing it because I knew I would. I had passed selection before and was now fitter and stronger than ever before. But most importantly, my determination was there. I had felt that crushing blow of defeat to my soul before and knew I had more to offer. And as I suspected, I passed the selection process no problem. It was still physically hard, but nothing compared to my inner fire that was more fired up than ever before. I started Marine training before my second year of university exams. I believe to this day my dad still believes I completed my second year and got some qualification, but I did not. Sorry, Dad. My failure first time round attempting the Royal Marines Commando course was possibly the best thing that could have happened to me. It made me who I am today. It fueled my anger, my passion, my annoyance at failure, my determination at the very being of my soul. Often in life, it is our failures that reach the inner depths of our being and touch us in a way that makes our soul scream out, "No more. I will not accept failure anymore. I will succeed next time or die trying. Nothing more, nothing less." Robert Kiyosaki is the author of the bestseller Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and a book I strongly advise anyone to read. He talks about a broken education system that penalizes students for their failures, when in fact failures can be our greatest assets. He states how himself and many of his very rich billionaire friends learned their greatest lessons from their mistakes and became the people they are today because of, not in spite of, their mistakes. He states that if in business you lose a couple of $1 million, that lesson will stay with you forever because it hurt. It stings you financially and personally. And with the lesson learned, you will not make the mistake twice. Better to learn the lesson losing a couple of $1 million as opposed to losing $1 billion. Robert Kiyosaki speaks about reforming the Japanese education system, and he is working with education authorities to do just that. Imagine an education where students are allowed to make mistakes and get praise for the lessons they have learned from those mistakes. He speaks of an education system where you do not just have teachers teaching, but also have people who have been successful in their chosen fields coming to teach students, inspiring students with how they created a $1 billion company through learning tax. I'm sure every student in that tax class would pay close attention. In a school local to me, they have an English teacher who is a very well-known news TV presenter / journalist. His students are inspired by his stories of talking to celebrities, presidents, and meeting the most amazing people in his life, travelling to the most amazing countries. His students appreciate that his grasp of the English language made his accomplishments possible, and this inspires the children to listen to what he says. Not only are students learning from a person who is successful in their chosen field, but they also have an emotional learning experience that is proven the most effective way to retain knowledge. For example, if I asked you what you were doing 63 days ago, you would most likely not know. If you were asked what you were doing on 9/11, when the Twin Towers fell, I imagine most people of an appropriate age would be able to tell you exactly what they were doing when the news broke across the world. This is because you had a strong emotional attachment to the date. Learn to make your mistakes or defeats a true gift in life. The Marines defeated me once, and this was a blessing. It fueled my soul to demand better of myself and forced me to raise my fitness standards. It fueled my training, made me stronger, more determined, and psychologically helped me to raise my mental strength standards. Failure and mistakes are your gift for the taking. A broken will is something that breaks my heart when I see it, and breaks my heart when I feel it. Failing the Marines broke my will, and during the months following my defeat, depression lurked in the distance. Thankfully, as a young man, I was able to bounce back fast and refocus. Unfortunately, the older we get, the more people seem to give in to their defeats in life and simply accept them as the way things are. If you can become more than you are right now, then you can give people more than you can right now. This book is written to inspire you, the reader, to learn to give more to the world, but before you can give, you need to make sure you are okay. If you are strong and on your chosen path, with passion in your heart, with what you do, then helping others is easy, because they will pick up on your passion. I see so many adults who are broken by life, and the resolve they once had as children is lost forever. Children have an unstoppable belief in what they want to achieve. If you tell a small child they cannot have an ice cream, they will often cry, scream, and shout until they get what they want. They simply do not take no for an answer. If only we could relearn to do this as we get older. Learn to make your must-have in life an unstoppable force, like the child with the ice cream, or like Sarah for her military fitness test. Take some time out of life for yourself. Some people meditate and others go for a walk. Do something whereby you take time away from life and search for your soul, for the things that are most important to you. Then believe you can achieve your goals, and your brain will start thinking of ways to get that dream. Only a dreamer can get what their heart desires. Do I really want this? The psychological war. My most uncomfortable experience in life, above anything, came during Marine recruit training. It was winter, we were living outside, and the weather was throwing ice rain at us for days on end. My instructors told us we were to lie in wait in a muddy trench, waiting for the pretend enemy to appear. And throughout the night we would be tested on what we saw, what vehicles we saw, how many people we saw, etc. We were not told how long we would be waiting there. We were all soaking wet to the point where your skin goes white and wrinkly, your feet start to rip themselves apart in your boots, and unhealed bloody blisters start to mould into your socks as one. Pulling your socks off after an exercise finishes becomes a whole new experience. As we lay in wait, not moving, the cold winter air started to freeze our wet bodies. After an hour or so, you are struggling to feel your hands, and you have given up the hope of feeling your toes, although you still keep trying to wriggle them in your boots to keep the blood flowing. Several more hours go by, and you start to worry about your personal well-being. Your body is shutting down, and mentally you are close to hitting a wall. I watched 3 people get taken back to camp because they were feeling the effects of hypothermia. This is where my must was tested to its maximum. I knew I could simply stand up and say, I'm done. I'm not playing this game anymore. After one person breaks, others tend to follow because they see how easy it is to give up and stop the pain. Nothing is worth this torture. 3 people did give up that night, and we were already very far through training. But I knew I would not quit, and it encouraged me that I had out-endured other recruits who had to be taken back to camp because of hypothermia. By about hour 8, I was whispering to my friend about how much we would pay to be magically placed in a warm bath then and there. Black humour is what Marines thrive on to lift their spirits. We agreed on £1,000, which was a lot considering I only got paid about £700 a month as a recruit and had university debt. The ice rain continued, and 14 hours after we started, the pretend enemy appeared. By the end of the first hour, I was suffering. By the 14th hour, I had found a newfound respect for life. Burn all bridges. In 1519, the Spanish explorer Hernando Cortés decided that he wanted to seize the treasure the Aztecs were holding. He sailed his small army of 500 soldiers and 100 sailors to the shores of Yucatan and knew he was seriously outnumbered by a powerful empire. To make sure that his men were committed to the mission, he ordered the boats they had arrived on to be destroyed. He told his men that if they were going home, then they were going home in the ships of the enemy. Their options were simple: succeed or die, nothing more, nothing less. In over 600 years, no one else was able to defeat the Aztecs and steal their riches. Retreat is easy when you let yourself have the option. It is up to you, the reader, if you decide to follow such an example. And without realizing at university, I did just this. I left before my exams to join the military, knowing full well if I failed my military course, I would have nothing to fall back on. I remember thinking this thought process through and deciding it was a good idea. My rationale was that I did not want to do an office job and instead wanted a life of adventure. My university course would only really help me to get an office-based job, so to me the course was useless. If I threw away my university education, I would have to pass Marine training. Possibly not my wisest decision. However, on many test runs in the Marines, I would hit my mental and physical wall. And only the thought of having no other option kept me running. I hated my life before the military, and if I had no plan B, then plan A was my only option. Plan B was so unthinkable and horrible to think about that I rarely did think about it. A plan B makes complete sense, but for the true dreamer, plan B does not exist. Young children only work on plan A. When they want something, they scream until they get it. Then, as we get older, we start to accept that maybe plan B will have to be enough. I fear many people do not even aim as high as plan B and simply accept what life has to offer for them. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard 2 years into his course, just like I did, to pursue his dreams. He clearly had a dream to make such a bold decision, and it paid off. A relentless determination will not guarantee you achieve your goal, but in life, fortune, in all its forms, does favour the bold. Everyone has their own risk assessment in life, and mine was one that was willing to die in training or active service to pursue. Now I have children, I could not make the same bold decision I made many years ago, because my must in life has changed. My must in life is my children, their upbringing, and trying to enjoy the magic of their youth. But my resolve in life is still very much the same. Just as I would be willing to die for a job I wanted, I would give up my life for my children in a heartbeat if I needed to. Do some people just have a stronger will to achieve than others? I do think willpower can be achieved by anyone. When people fall in love, they magically get the willpower to do anything for the person of their dreams. Wars have been fought over the love of a woman. Love can make us do things we never thought possible. I believe if you can learn to listen to your heart and not your head, you can realize the full potential of your inner soul. This is why the gift of giving is so important. If you can give some of your time to someone else, you may be able to help them find a path to their dream job, a path to a life of fulfillment. This is the most important thing we can ever give to a person, a purpose to life and a roadmap to get there. This is why you should surround yourself with people who inspire you and have your best interests at heart. They will support you in the pursuit of your goals. Jim Rohn stated, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time around. Life can surprise you and present an opportunity that awakens your soul, and just as readily destroys your soul, as seen in people who lose loved ones. I think dreamers have an easier time of accessing their inner child and finding their heartfelt desires. I am a dreamer, and the Marines is full of people who care to dream. I can be one of the strongest people I know, and I can also be the very weakest person I know. I was not sure about writing this chapter, but felt it was important. It might be able to help some other injured souls out there. When I was 16 years old, I was told that I would be moving away from all of my friends and the people I loved and had grown up with. My parents said we were moving country. I was crushed, and as a dreamer who is very in touch with their heart, I could feel it was broken. My family moved country, and I would not see my friends, the people I loved again, because I was just a teenager with no money or resources to get back to them. So I gave up. I did not even have my brother or sister at home because they had left home to study and work. This is what I mean when I say I can be one of the weakest people I know. I always have had a do or die attitude, and at this moment in life, I chose to die. I stopped eating and decided I would waste away and hopefully stop breathing in my sleep. I had a plan to die and put it into action, much to the horror of my parents. The misery I put my parents through resulted in me getting sent back home to where my friends lived. This is why my friend Katie's parents became my legal guardian for a year of my schooling. I am not proud of this time in my life, but I was lost and my heart was destroyed. The Marines gave me a chance to see how strong I could be mentally and physically, but some of the things I took for granted at the time would come back to haunt me. The Royal Marines is an environment of very high standards, and without realizing it, I was able to use this environment to my advantage. What I did not consider when leaving the Marines was that I would be leaving an environment of high standards. Without this environment, I would be left to make my own standards. Like so many military people who experience the same thing when they leave, I did not just leave the Royal Marines behind. I left behind an environment that helped me raise my standards. I had left and started to quickly feel lost. I joined the police the week after I left the Marines, and this occupied my mind for a while, but the police was never my calling in life. It was just a job I thought I could do. And as a dreamer, I became disillusioned very quickly with life as a police officer. It did not suit my personality. And as the months merged into one another, I started to become lost once again in life. We are all creatures of habit, and that destructive 16-year-old still lives inside of me. I started to binge drink on weekends, and when I was drunk, I would set myself a goal of trying to drink myself to a point where I would stop breathing. Just like my parents had to see their 16-year-old son try and finish himself, my wife got to watch her husband try and finish himself when he touched alcohol. This did not happen all the time, as I do not drink very often, but when I did drink, my demons would rise from my darkest depths. Through the love of people around me and my wife, I was able to heal my heart and find new joy in life. That joy came through fitness training and years later, my children. It allowed me to find purpose in my life once again, and I thrived on helping people achieve their goals. The company I did my personal training course told me I was one of the fastest students to ever complete the course and offered me a job in their physiotherapy clinic, helping to rehab clients. My boss was an ex-Army Commando, so we also had something in common. Over the years, I have instructed many large boot camps, and at the end of my classes, I would have someone come up to me and state they were ex-military. I already knew what they were going to ask me, because so many other ex-military people asked me the same question. Did you find it hard to adapt when you left the military? They asked this question because they felt similar feelings to myself when they left. A feeling of loss, a loss of purpose, a loss of identity, a loss of your military family, and a loss of knowing what to do with life. Loss of purpose is not restricted to military people, and one lady I have trained for years was a judge preparing to retire. Her work put her on a specialised course that deals solely with adapting to retirement. At the time of writing, she has now retired and enjoys a life full of horse riding, helping disabled children to horse ride, and lots of wine tasting holidays all around the world. Sounds like a pretty good retirement to me. I am thankful for my experiences of love and pain, losing myself and finding myself. These experiences have allowed me to see the pain many people go through firsthand when they are lost, when they need direction in their life, when they need someone to talk to. And this is why I find great purpose in helping other people. People helped me when I needed it the most, and those acts of kindness are what I remember most in life. People have the ability to be so amazing and inspiring when they have a full heart, and so destructive to all those around them when they feel lost and broken. You will never fully understand how another person really feels when they lay their heads on their pillow at night and think their private thoughts. A gentle nudge in the right direction can make a life. Without that nudge, someone may stay lost. Responsibility is something we expect from somebody else. From Oscar Wilde. As the Dalai Lama stated, there are 7 billion people on this planet. And we need to learn to help each other, not take from each other. I have decided in my soul that I will help people. This will be part of my must list in life. And I am still not fully sure how I will do it, but where there is a will, there is a way. Your mind is your best friend and your worst friend. I remember listening to a video where someone was asking what they should do if their mind was telling them one thing and their heart another. There is a book called The 7-Day Mental Diet by Emmett Fox, and this book is well worth the read. The idea is to stop your mind from feeding you negative thoughts, and every time you think a negative thought, you say loudly, cancel, and stop the thought process in its tracks. This is easier said than done, which is why the 7-day mental diet is for 7 days. It allows you to gain a bit of mental strength over the thought muscles. Like I said earlier, in this book, the brain can play havoc with your goals. If you wish to be more successful at work, your brain will start to create a map of how to get there. But at the same time, your subconscious will not want you to leave your social group for fear of being rejected by the group and will sabotage those plans. After all, if you grew rich and successful, then your friends would possibly be jealous of you or say things like, they have forgotten where they came from. The brain is a very powerful thing, and studies are finding more and more the reasons why our own brains will sabotage our heartfelt plans. But with knowledge comes the power to yield this knowledge. By understanding this concept, we can bargain with our subconscious and say, I will succeed by raising my standards in life, and will help lead and help my group raise their standards in life at the same time. Through logic, our subconscious can and will agree that this proposal makes sense, and in doing so, the subconscious and conscious can work together and help you achieve your goals. The mental diet follows the concept of how negative thought puts us in a negative mental state, and nothing great or productive comes from this state of mind. If we can focus on keeping our brains in a positive state, then the brain starts firing in very positive ways and helps us to achieve our goals. If all you can think about is how much you hate your boss, then your work will suffer, your mood will suffer, your interactions with people will suffer, and everything you do in that day will suffer. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because as you work and your relationships with colleagues suffer, so does your chances of doing well at work. Your negative thoughts have created a very negative outcome for your life. On the flip side, if we can train our minds to stop thinking negative thoughts, we can focus on things like we like about our boss, and realize that they are a person going through life with just as many problems as the next person. Make it your mission to make your boss smile and improve his day. Study your boss and find out what they like and talk about their favourite subjects. The good interactions you have with your boss will make your working relationship better and your mood better. In turn, your happier self will be more attractive to your work colleagues, who will enjoy being around you more. And when opportunity for promotion comes around, you will be in a much better position to take advantage of it. The difference one mental trick can have on your work could be the difference between losing your job and life turning very bad, and being promoted with good relationships all around you. It truly is amazing, the power of a thought. Protect your mental estate from all enemies who try and get in. Your mind is your greatest weapon, so make sure you protect it from negative thoughts. The power of a thought can be a truly amazing thing, and a negative thought can be a truly destructive force. How powerful is a thought? A thought can be more powerful than all the armies in the world and all the authorities that govern the world. If you don't believe me, then let us look at arguably one of the most powerful people who ever walked planet Earth. Mahatma Gandhi was able to inspire 200 million people to believe his thoughts and think in unison. No army or authority has ever been able to achieve such success in changing people's thoughts in the history of the world. He was able to achieve this through none of the traditional methods of powerful resources. He did not have wealth or social status, but what he did have was a belief so strong that he was able to influence millions of people. He believed in being honest and wasn't afraid to admit that he was not perfect himself. He wanted India to be free from British control and was met with many defeats, but he never gave up and is certainly one of life's greatest dreamers. It is hard enough in life trying to get a small group of people to think the same when organising something. Gandhi was able to inspire 200 million people by thoughts he felt so powerfully inside that were visible for all to see. Through non-violence, leading a simple life, and always speaking the truth, he was able to free a country from British control. The entire Indian army would not be able to achieve what one person's thoughts did. A look into my soul. I have thought long and hard about including the darker moments of my life in an inspiration book that only I can tell from my perspective and from my life. I have hovered over the delete button, knowing that if this book were to be published, that everyone I know would know the dark parts of my past. And my friend Katie, who will proofread this, would read firsthand how her good friend came close to losing his faith in life. I am not ashamed of any of my past, and this is the main reason why I have included the finer details. My past made me who I am, and through losing myself, I was able to create a roadmap to finding myself. And this is one of my most treasured gifts that life taught me. I lost count of the amount of people I tried to help in the police when their life was falling apart. I think police officers do a great job, but not many of my shift ever took the time to really understand and help people like Dog the bounty hunter did with his detained people. I became known on my shift in the police as the person to call when the rest of my shift had managed to aggravate a situation. One lady I remember well was sitting in a petrol station, leaning up against a petrol pump, telling everyone she was going to light a cigarette. My sergeant called me to help to calm the lady down. When I arrived on scene, my entire shift, containing 10 plus police officers, was standing about 30 metres away. I was one of the least experienced officers there, but had a life before the police as a Marine that taught me much of what I know about myself. Standing 30 metres away from this distraught lady was about 80 years worth of police experience, and not one of them had taken the time to speak to this lady like a human being. I sat down beside the lady and asked her what was wrong. She was very defensive about a police officer sitting beside her, but she quickly saw I was no threat. She told me her problem, and like so many people in life, she just wanted someone to talk to. She was a really nice lady. After 20 minutes of chatting, she quietly got up and thanked me for listening. Police officers are overworked, underpaid, and are not given the time to properly help people. It is a job where you come across a job, stick a band-aid on it, and then move the job along so that you can deal with the next job. There simply is not the time to deal with people on the emotional human level that they so often need. It is these reasons why I left the police. I have been fortunate to experience a life that pushed me to find areas of myself that people do not always find. Marine training reveals every part of a person's character, and even the most bravado guys will ask for help when sleep deprivation, food deprivation, physical exhaustion, and hypothermia comes their way. No stone is left unturned. The mind is a very strong and fragile place at the same time. Take care of it, and it will take care of you. No one person has all the answers in life, but the traits of the people I have seen succeed leave behind many clues. Just like an Olympian who turns defeat into passion and drive, I will use my worst moments as my gift. And whenever I find myself at a crossroad in life, I will ask my heart what I should do. I will then go after it. Below is a speech by Les Brown, and this speech describes the power of a must far better than I ever could. If you want a thing bad enough, go out and fight for it. Work day and night for it. Give up your sleep for it. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famine, nor gout, sickness nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you beseech and beset it, with the help of God, you will get it. Why the world needs people like you to mentor. When coaches help athletes find their magic, their goal and their vision, the job of training someone becomes easy. But equally important as a person's goal may be, we have the ability to refocus a person's mind when they start to fill their minds with fear and doubt. A young lady that lives local to me was on the Olympic rowing team and was going to represent Britain in the London Olympics. She was so talented and determined. Just before the Olympics, she hurt her shoulder and was dropped from the rowing team. She would not be able to compete in London in front of her family, friends, and country, and understandably she was crushed. Everything she had worked for was gone in an instant. I would not wish that fate on my worst enemy. This amazingly talented girl went into a depression and is still not the vibrant, full of life person she used to be. Circumstances crushed her goals and crushed the passion in her soul. I do not fully understand why the trainers around her did not help her more with her psychology. She clearly had the psychology of a great athlete, and with just a little magic pulling could be great again. To demonstrate the power of psychology, I often refer to the female Olympic champion who was the favourite to win the 100-metre hurdles in the 2004 Olympics. During the Olympic final, she injured herself and was lying on the ground in agony. Her dreams of success were crushed. During an interview the day after the race, she was asked how she was feeling, and her reply was beautiful. She stated she was understandably upset, but would see this injury as a gift. She said had she won the Olympic gold, then her hunger and drive for perfection may have been weakened for the next 4 years of training. This injury meant she was more determined and focused than she had ever been, and this would fuel her to come back even stronger, and it would give her great purpose for the next 4 years of her life. She turned her worst moment into a blessing and saw it as a gift. Truly the psychology of a champion. Perhaps with a few tweaks to the female rower's psychology, she could regain her magic, her drive, and her passion. Going back to the title, Why the World Needs People Like You to Mentor. Perhaps you, the reader, could help someone with your knowledge of how to get into your industry, and when they fall, help them to get back up again. With today's technology, text messages, etc., this has never been easier. Next time you turn on the television, ask yourself, could I give up an hour of television watching to help someone? And if you do, you will remember the moment you helped someone for more than you would remember the television program you were watching. If you have kids, then what lesson would your helping teach them? If you don't have kids, then what lesson would your helping teach your friends and family? But most importantly, do it for yourself, just because you can. I promise you, the feeling will feed your soul. Make fitness your must in life, and become the stronger, fitter, more confident person your mind knows you can be. Use the new energized version of yourself to be the greatest mum or dad you can. Be the best brother or sister you can be. The most unstoppable positive person in your workplace. And I think you will be amazed what you can achieve. Fitness is just the beginning for awakening the soul and starting the next journey of your life. And giving will be your gift to inspire those who meet you. How to use fear to beat fear. Some of the greatest trainers in the world teach people to use fear to beat fear when motivation is not enough. The reason so many people do not go after their dream is because they fear failure, rejection, people laughing at them, not having what it takes, etc. The list is endless. The strong emotion of fear stops you getting what you want when it is stronger than the will to succeed. In this tug of war, fear versus dream, fear will often win. But there is a trick to beat fear. Create an image so strong in your mind of what your life will be like if you do not achieve your must-have in life. With fitness, imagine, really imagine, an older, sicker, dying you, surrounded by your family, with sorrow in your eyes that you did not look after your health, sorrow that you did not infuse life's memories with your energy, heart and soul, sorrow that you were not the best parent, family member, or friend that you could be, and sorrow that you are saying goodbye to everyone that loves you. And their loving hugs will be your last embrace. If you can create a fear of not getting fit that is so visually strong, it will overpower the fear of failure and win the tug of war. Fear can beat fear. The thought of giving my children my final hug, knowing I could have spent many more years protecting and loving them, filling their lives with my fullest energy to help inspire them, is enough for me. Today I will go for a run. I will run for them and run for me. And when the day does come for my final embrace, I will know I gave my best. I think when we lie on our deathbed, our entire lives will not flash before our very eyes. I think we will remember moments, special moments, proud moments, and moments when we showed our greatest qualities. Moments that will touch the soul of those who remember us and inspire them to do or give something amazing. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the channel.